Hi, I'm Joel Schrenk, voiceover talent and entrepreneur. So I've been a little bit sporadic in the podcast posting the past few weeks. My family has had some sicknesses going through it the past couple of weeks following a vacation that we went on a few weeks ago. But that vacation actually prompted me to think a little bit about the topic of customer service. We had some experiences with our airline. I won't mention who it was, but it started me thinking a little bit about that exact topic. So I'm here in my sound booth. I got my cup of coffee, and I hope you'll join me as we speak easy about customer service. Simplifying concepts that really help you in life, relationships, and business. This is the Speaking Easy podcast. So, just a quick recap on the situation that came up on our way home from vacation. My family and I had gone to the airport. We've traveled to Florida from Arizona for a week with my in-laws, and we stayed at this wonderful resort. We had a great time on the beach. The kids had a great time swimming in the pool. It was really a great unwinding vacation for everybody. Everything went really smooth until we tried to go home. And we got to the airport, which was actually a couple of hours away from the resort we'd been staying at, and we dropped off the car, and we found out that ours and many other people's flights had been delayed due to some snowstorm. And I know what you're thinking. We were in Florida. Where's the snowstorm? We were traveling from Florida to Arizona. Not a lot of snow happening in those areas, but you know how things go. Snow in the north can affect flights elsewhere, and honestly, my family and I thought maybe there was a little bit more to it than just that, but who's to say? Anywho, we got there, and we found out that our flight had not only been delayed, it had been completely 100% canceled. And so they were able to rebook us on another flight later that evening, which ended up not going out until about 1 a.m. We were supposed to originally leave at 3 p.m. in the afternoon. And we've got 3 small children. We've got my in-laws. We've got me and my wife. And we were not expecting to stay up the entire night on a red-eye flight home, but that's exactly what happened. Everything ended up okay, other than us getting sick afterwards. But it was quite the experience. But what prompted me to think about customer service was how the customer service agent at the airline desk handled us. He was actually very pleasant. We were all pretty upset, obviously, about the situation, but he really helped us to feel better about it. He was a nice guy, and he kind of helped us to feel kind of bad for him, knowing that he was going to have a lot to go through, because we were fortunately one of the first in line at the ticket counter to rebook our flight. And we saw the line of people piling up behind us. And talking to this ticket agent guy, he was very friendly. He was very professional. He said he was honest with us. He told us that he knew that there was stuff going on. He didn't 100% know if the later flight he was booking us on was actually going to get out or not. But he would book us on it because it was really our best bet, he said, to get out. He wasn't really sure when we'd be able to get out after that. And he was really upfront with us. He kind of just gave us the lowdown of what was going on and let us know how hard he was really working. He was actually supposed to have gone home hours ago, he said, and he was putting in some extra time for us. So that caused us to kind of appreciate him. It caused us to appreciate the situation. It didn't feel like he was just kind of BSing us, which sometimes people do. And honestly, even after all of that, it was such a horrible experience because we were in the airport for hours with 3 kids trying to figure out what to do with them. And the flight itself was really a horrible experience because we were just exhausted and it wasn't really a great time. There was nothing they could have done to make that a good experience for us. And we got home and we were like, there's no way we're ever flying on this airline again. It was terrible. It was just such a horrible experience. And then I got an email saying that they were going to give us some money to fly as vouchers for future flights. And I thought, well, they are giving us a few $100 for future flights. Maybe we will fly on them later. And that's all customer service. It's how you talk to your customers. It's how you fix your mistakes. It's how you just speak and relate to your customers. And honestly, even in a horrible situation that we were in, this airline did pretty darn well. I was actually pleasantly surprised. I was expecting to be really angry about the whole thing, and it ended up being as okay as it could be. And so let's talk a little bit about some of the things that you can do in your own business to help your customer service. Be kind. I feel like that should go without saying, but I don't know that it always does anymore. I've been in plenty of situations where I fully expected the person that was serving me to be kind, courteous, polite, relational, but I ended up feeling more like an inconvenience to them. That really surprises me, especially when there's a tip possibly involved. But I think that sort of cold and non-relational attitude is easier to slip into than people may actually realize. I personally, if I don't actually intentionally work at it, would have a tendency to slip into that kind of cold, non-relational attitude in the communications that I have with my customers and my clients. And it's not because I see them as an inconvenience. It's more just because when I'm communicating on a business level, I tend to be more businessy. I tend to be more kind of, okay, let's talk about business, rather than being warm and relational and actually sharing a little bit about myself, sharing a little bit about what's going on in my day, what's going on in my life, and curious about what's going on in theirs, asking them questions about what might be going on if I'm on a conversation with them, and trying to be that open, relational, likable kind of a guy. I actually have to intentionally work at that. I think I can be a likable guy. I sure hope so. I have plenty of clients that seem to like me, but I actually have to work at doing that. And so you actually have to put some effort for it. Sometimes it may be easier just to slip into that kind of cold, non-relational kind of person. So make sure that you're working at being kind, relatable, likable, and relational in all of the communications that you have with your customers and your clients. Work quickly. Now, this may not apply to everybody in every field, but in general, I've found that my clients and my customers like it when I'm quick to respond to them, when I'm quick to answer the phone when they call me. I don't make them leave a voicemail and then I get back to them in an hour or two, and when I complete the projects that they give me as quickly as I can. What that does is it shows the customer or the client that they're important to you, that they're important enough to take the time to actually take a few minutes and talk to them on the phone. They're important enough for you to stop what you're doing and email them back really quickly. And they're important enough for you to get the job done that they asked you to do as quickly as possible, obviously without sacrificing quality. But I found that in almost every field that I've worked in, getting back to people quickly, getting work done quickly, people appreciate that. And so work as quickly as you can without sacrificing quality. Own your mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes, and how you respond to them is going to affect how people think of you. Nobody is perfect, and everyone knows that nobody is perfect. So if you try and sweep your mistakes under the rug, if you try and make it look like you didn't actually make a mistake, it was all part of your plan, or you just try and explain your mistake away, people, number one, aren't going to believe you. Number two, they're not going to respect you. And number three, they're not going to want to be with you, work with you, have a relationship with you. So own your mistakes and then fix them. Which brings us right into our last point, which is fix your mistakes. Now, obviously, it's important to admit that you made a mistake, but if that's all that you do, your customer or your client is probably not going to walk away satisfied unless you actually fix it. Going back to my airline story, the guy who was at the front desk was a super friendly guy. He definitely helped the situation. He was really nice. He helped us to get booked on a new flight. And that was, in essence, kind of fixing the problem, I suppose. But it wasn't the flight we wanted to be on. He knew that. And we were very inconvenienced by the whole thing. And so still, after the flight home, which was honestly a horrible experience for us, I still looked at my wife and said, we're never flying on that airline again. Until about a day or so later, I got an email from them saying, hey, we're going to give you a few $100 towards your next flight. To which I also then looked at my wife and said, okay, yeah, maybe we will fly with these guys again. I mean, they are giving us something for free. And that's how they get you. They turned what was a horrible situation into something that's kind of positive. Airline tickets are expensive, and they just paid for one of them, basically for my family, for flying out someplace if we want to go someplace again. And that means a lot. And so just fixing your mistake isn't enough. And by the way, this may not have even been their fault. And it doesn't matter if it was their fault. It doesn't matter if it's your fault. If the customer or the client perceives the problem to be a problem that originated from you and they had a bad experience, whether it was your fault or not, you need to fix it. Because they need to walk away feeling like they had a good experience. And honestly, if they can walk away from something that was a bad experience and you flipped it around into being something that's actually really good, that they can feel good about, they're going to remember it all the more. And you might have just given yourself a lifelong customer because they see how hard you are willing to work for them. Well, I hope that this has been helpful to you. I hope that you're able to take these tips into your business, your company, or even just your personal life and being a kind and friendly person. The real trick to customer service is just being a nice person, and that's something you can use really anywhere in your life. So I hope that this has been helpful to you. If you did like this video, go ahead and like, subscribe, and we'll talk to you again next time.